In the office at the headquarters of the Nansha Group, Ling Chuan, dressed in a sharp suit, stood tall and resolute. His expression was stern with a hint of determination as he solemnly handed his application to the chairman. As the company's youngest and most promising project manager, he had already made a name for himself in the industry, known for his exceptional abilities. It was just that he usually maintained an air of unflappable calm, his face devoid of any emotion. "Chairman, I'm applying for a transfer to the overseas branch to dedicate myself to international business. I request your approval," Ling Chuan said, his voice steady yet carrying an undercurrent of unwavering resolve. The chairman looked up, a flicker of surprise in his eyes, and said to Ling Chuan, "Have you finally made up your mind? But once he goes, it will be very difficult to transfer back to the country." Ling Chuan's lips curved into a slight smile, but his tone was exceptionally firm. "Yes, after my parents passed away and my wife and I are also planning to divorce now. There is no one left for me to miss in this city. I just want to focus entirely on my career." The chairman was silent for a while and finally sighed softly, saying helplessly, "Since you have made up your mind, I won't force you to stay. You are Nansha's most outstanding project manager, and you indeed deserve a broader space for development. Once the transfer procedures are completed, I will notify you." Seeing Ling Chuan's determination, the chairman understood that further persuasion would be futile. His heart filled with mixed emotions. Ling Chuan walked out of the company building and looked up at the scenery around him, so familiar that it couldn't be more familiar. He couldn't help but take a long sigh of relief, as if a huge weight that had been pressing on his heart for a long time had finally been lifted. Back at home, Ling Chuan immediately noticed the birthday cake placed on the table. At this moment, Lin Ruan, dressed in a silk nightgown, was lazily sitting on the sofa, flipping through a magazine, noticing Ling Chuan's entry. She didn't even lift her eyelids, merely saying indifferently, "The birthday cake on the table is for you." "Happy birthday." Ling Chuan struggled to pull at the corners of his mouth, a hint of disappointment in his expression, and said softly, "My birthday was the day before yesterday." "You got it wrong." Hearing this, Lin Ruan was slightly taken aback. After a moment, she responded nonchalantly, "I'll remember next time." However, Ling Chuan knew in his heart that she had said these words countless times, but she had never truly taken them to heart. Just then, the butler approached and reported respectfully, "Madam, the lilies have arrived by air freight, and the gardener has been arranged to take care of them meticulously. The necklace was successfully auctioned in Gwyn's favorite restaurant has been booked in advance." Lin Ruan nodded gently and added, "Chunin doesn't like noise. Remember to clear the venue in advance on his birthday." Listening to Lin Ruan's meticulous arrangements, Ling Chuan felt nothing but mockery. Gwyn's birthday was still 3 months away, yet she was already going to great lengths to prepare, while his own birthday was just a few days ago and she couldn't even remember the exact date. Love and not loving, just a word difference, but there is a world of difference. Ling Chuan and Lin Ruan met through an arranged blind date. On their first meeting, Lin Ruan directly proposed marriage, and Ling Chuan agreed almost without hesitation because before that he had been secretly in love with her for many years. To meet the person he had long admired on a blind date, he felt it was a blessing from heaven. Therefore, in the 3 years of their marriage, even though Lin Ruan rarely came home, even though they barely spoke a few words a year, and even though when they were in the same room, there was never a trace of warmth in her eyes towards him, Ling Chuan was willing. He simply thought she was naturally cold. He played the role of a good husband wholeheartedly, looking forward to spending the rest of his life with her, never daring to expect more. It wasn't until 3 months ago that a man named Gwyn suddenly intruded into their lives. That was the first time Ling Chuan had seen an expression close to ecstatic joy on Lin Ruan's usually cold and frosty face, as if a stagnant pool of water that had been silent for many years had suddenly rippled. It was also on that day that Ling Chuan learned that before him, Lin Ruan had a deeply loved first love, and that boy was Gwyn. They fell in love in their youth. But just when Lin Ruan's love was at its peak, news came that Gwyn had died. At that moment, the proud Lin Ruan chose to slit her wrist to die with him. Fortunately, her parents discovered her in time and saved her from the brink of death. After that, she was depressed for a long time, living in a daze until her family threatened her with death, forcing her to go on blind dates, trying to get her out of this haze. That's when she met Ling Chuan. In Lin Ruan's heart, the person who had amazed her had already left. For the rest of her life, whoever she was with would just be settling. So, on their first blind date, she decisively proposed marriage. However, no one expected that Gwyn, who had been dead for 3 years, would come back to life and reappear in front of everyone. Gwyn's return was like a storm, completely destroying Ling Chuan's already precarious marriage. It was also at this time that Ling Chuan realized belatedly that the seemingly indifferent Lin Ruan also had a burning love, but this love had never belonged to him. She would wake up early every day to cook Gwen's favorite millet porridge and then, without complaint, drive for an hour, rain or shine, to deliver it to him. She clearly remembered every one of Gwen's preferences, various luxury clothing, branded jewelry, and a bouquet of fresh flowers every day, all delivered to him without fail. When Gwen acted up and didn't reply to her messages, she would be unable to sleep all night and even run out in the middle of the night to coax him. Ling Chuan had seen too many scenes like this in these short 3 months. Fortunately, from now on, he would never have to face these things again. In 3 years of marriage, he had never been able to enter her heart. Since that was the case, he decided to fulfill her wish and also free himself. While Lin Ruan was still instructing the butler, Ling Chuan had already returned to the room and began to silently pack his luggage. Halfway through packing, he accidentally came across a few of the rare photos of himself and Lin Ruan. In the photos, he was all smiles while Lin Ruan beside him had a faint expression, her eyes calm. Even in their wedding photos and on their marriage certificate, she never smiled. He used to think it was because Lin Ruan was naturally like this, not liking to take pictures or smile. But when he found her photos with Gwen, almost every one of them showed her with smiling eyes, looking at the boy beside her, deeply affectionate and focused, suppressing the turbulent emotions in his heart. Ling Chuan lit the photos with a lighter and tossed them into the brazier. The flames instantly engulfed those images, and the memories of the past dissipated into the fire along with them. Following the smoky scent of burning, Lin Ruan came over and saw the photos being burned in the brazier. Her expression changed drastically. "What are you burning?" she demanded sharply, then abruptly kicked over the brazier. With a loud crash, the burning coals inside scattered, splashing all over Ling Chuan. He winced in pain, sucking a sharp breath. Before he could react, he saw Lin Ruan reach out her hand, heedless of the still burning flames. The flames scorched her hand a bright red, but she seemed oblivious, focused only on rescuing the photos. Only when she saw that the fragments were all pictures of her and Ling Chuan did she breathe a sigh of relief, her entire body relaxing. Thank goodness the photos of her and Chun Chin were still there. She casually tossed aside the remaining fragments and hurried to check the treasured photos of her and Gwen stored in the cabinet. The photos from childhood to adulthood were neatly arranged in the cabinet. Not a single one was missing. Her anxious heart finally settled. After carefully putting all those photos back, she said coldly with a somber face, "Don't put your photo album with mine in the future." The photo fragments fluttered down, landing on the floor where she stepped on them. Ling Chuan understood that her earlier nervousness and fluster had all been for Gwen. He suddenly felt a little ridiculous, whispering, "Don't worry, I checked carefully when I burned them. I wouldn't touch your photos with him." Lin Ruan frowned at his words, about to speak, when suddenly her phone rang. It was Gwen. "Ruan, I'm so clumsy. I wanted to try making a dish for you, but I accidentally burned myself just now. It hurt so much." The aggrieved and sad voice filled the quiet room. Lin Ruan comforted him repeatedly. "I'll be right there. Wait for me." As she spoke, she grabbed her coat, quickly changed, and left. As she passed by Ling Chuan, she didn't even notice the packed suitcase placed to the side. Bang! The door closed, leaving Ling Chuan alone to face the mess. The burns on his leg throbbed with a fiery pain, a constant reminder of the recent heartache. He gave a self-deprecating smile, found the medicine box, and slowly applied ointment to his wounds. Before long, Gwen's WeChat moments updated. In the photo, a woman with gentle and sweet features was carefully applying ointment to Gwen, holding his hand as if it were a treasure, blowing on his wound with a look of utter heartache. "How deep must love be for even a small injury of mine to cause you such alarm?" Ling Chuan looked at those photos over and over again. After a long while, he finally turned off his phone. Yes. How deep must love be to cause such alarm? And how little must one love to be so oblivious? The next day, Ling Chuan's wounds worsened. With no other choice, he had to go to the hospital. After getting his wounds checked and bandaged, he was about to leave when, passing through a corridor, he inadvertently saw two familiar figures, Lin Ruan and her best friend, Xia Linga, who was also the director of this hospital. "I'm telling you, Ruan, is this really necessary? It's just a little burn. It would have healed on its own if you had come a bit later. You've booked the entire floor for him. And on top of that, you want me, the director, to personally attend to him." Her tone was very calm. "Sean is in pain. I feel 1,000 times more than he does," Lin Ruan replied. Hearing this, Xia Linga clicked her tongue, exclaiming how mushy it was. Since you love Guan so much, does that mean you'll be divorcing Ling Chuan soon? After all, he's just someone you married to appease your family, while Guan is your true love. This time, Lin Ruan remained silent for a long time. For some reason, she didn't immediately give an answer. Only after a long pause did she say quietly, "It's not the right time yet." This statement surprised not only Xia Linga but also Ling Chuan, her beloved, who had returned. Shouldn't she, after the initial excitement, be thinking about divorcing him? Why the silence? What do you mean it's not the right time? You haven't developed feelings for Ling Chuan, have you? What about Gwyn? He finally came back alive. Are you going to make him wait forever? If you don't hurry up, there are several girls in our circle who like him, and they're about to start pursuing him. Xia Linga said these words jokingly. But Lin Ruan's expression suddenly darkened and she said coldly, "I will deal with things between Ling Chuan and me as soon as possible. I will never let Chunxin suffer. Spread the word in our circle. Anyone who dares to make a move on Guan should think carefully about the consequences." Over the years, Ling Chuan had always known Lin Ruan as a cold and indifferent person, always composed, as if nothing in the world could stir her emotions. Even when they were intimate, when he was on top of her, moving, she remained expressionless. This was the first time he had seen her display such emotions akin to jealousy and possessiveness. A wave of bitterness surged through his heart, and the previous speculation instantly vanished. Regardless of why she was unwilling to divorce him immediately, the fact remained that she loved Gwyn. He turned and quietly left. Upon returning home, he drafted a divorce agreement, carefully and solemnly signing his name on it, stroke by stroke. For the next few days, Lin Ruan did not return home. This left Ling Chuan with no opportunity to even discuss the divorce with her. With no other option, he sent her a message. "Are you free tomorrow? I have something very important to discuss with you. Let's meet at the restaurant where we first met." After a long while, Lin Ruan finally replied, "Okay." On the third day at the restaurant, Ling Chuan brought the divorce agreement and ordered a table full of dishes, waiting for her to appear. He waited for a full hour before Lin Ruan finally arrived, but she brought Gwyn with her. Gwyn deliberately complained, "Ruan, I'm so clumsy. I wanted to try making a dish for you, but I accidentally burned myself just now. It hurts so much." She smiled indulgently. "All right, whatever you like to eat, we'll order it today." The two of them walked over smiling, but when they saw the table full of extremely bland dishes, Gwyn's smile instantly faded. "Ruan," he looked at Lin Ruan with a pitiful expression. Her heart softened and she immediately called the waiter over. "Take all these dishes away and replace them with spicy chicken, spicy hot pot fish." She ordered several dishes in a row, all of them spicy. With a gentle curve to his eyes and a warm smile, Gwyn said, "Ruan, I can't believe after all these years, you still remember my favorite dishes. Everything is perfect." Lin Ruan smiled indulgently. "I might forget anyone else, but never you." They reveled in their affection, oblivious to Ling Chuan sitting across from them. They had forgotten that he was the one who had invited her to this dinner. And most importantly, they had forgotten that Ling Chuan had a stomach condition and couldn't handle spicy food at all. As dish after dish arrived, he repeatedly considered pulling the divorce papers from his bag. But her eyes were only for Gwyn. She picked out food for him, wiped his lips, and even tested the water temperature before pouring the glass. They had been married for 3 years, and if it weren't for the fact that this woman looked exactly like Lin Ruan, he would have suspected he was sitting across from a complete stranger. Why else would he have never seen her do any of these things or display this kind of affection in all their 3 years together? Time ticked by, and finally, Ling Chuan took the divorce papers from his bag. "Lin Ruan, let's." He was cut off mid-sentence. "Ruan, try this. It's delicious." Gwyn placed a dish in her bowl, urging her to taste it. It was seafood, something she never ate, something she loathed. But now she smiled indulgently and put it in her mouth. Ling Chuan clenched the divorce papers in his hand, his words once again failing him. Just then, a waiter carefully carried a pot of soup, but due to the slippery floor, lost his balance. The scalding soup splashed towards Gwyn. Lin Ruan's expression changed instantly as she instinctively shielded Gwyn with her body, taking the brunt of the boiling liquid on her back. Almost immediately, her entire back was soaked. The exposed skin on her neck turned red and steam rose from her back. The waiter, knowing how hot the soup was, burst into tears. "I'm so sorry, miss. It's all my fault. Let me take you to the hospital. I'll cover all the expenses. Please don't report me." Okay, that pot just now. Lin Ruin seemed to want to avoid worrying Gwen. She took a deep breath, striving to remain calm. I'm fine, and I won't report you. You can go now. The waiter hesitated, but eventually left. Lin Ruin's forehead beaded with cold sweat, the veins on her neck and arms bulging, but her first concern was for Gwen. Chin Chun, are you okay? Did you get burned? Guan had been well protected and hadn't been touched by the soup at all. He was still in shock, unable to react. After a long moment, he came to his senses, tears streaming down his face. I'm fine, Ruin. Why were you so foolish? Why did you block it for me? Lin Ruin quickly grasped his hand. Her voice was soft and comforting. Don't cry. It's okay. I'm fine. However, if she hadn't been wearing a black shirt, one might have seen the blistered, bloody skin underneath. The waiter, knowing how hot the soup was, burst into tears, but Lin Ruin still pretended to be all right and continued to encourage Gwen even though her back was burning. Seeing that she truly wasn't crying out in pain, Gwen finally stopped crying and gradually calmed down. After finishing the meal, the group settled the bill and left. Only then did Lin Ruin seem to remember something. Turning back to Ling Chuan, she asked, "Did you have something important to tell me today?" He gave a self-deprecating smile. Nothing. Let's talk about it when we get back. Lin Ruin didn't press the issue and drove Gwen home first. See you tomorrow. She waved at him with affection in her eyes, waiting until his door closed before suddenly slumping over the steering wheel, gasping for breath. Cold sweat rolled down her cheeks, her back a mess of raw flesh. The coppery scent of blood was so strong that even Ling Chuan could clearly smell it. She had endured such a severe injury, all to avoid worrying Gwen, and had held on for so long. He tugged at his lip, unsure whether he was laughing at her or himself. Get out. Let me drive. I'll take you to the hospital. His voice was cold. Ignoring Lin Ruin's silence, he opened the car door, helped her out, placed her in the back seat, and sped off to the hospital. The examination results came back quickly, severe burns. She also had a fever and needed to stay in the hospital for 2 days. Ling Chuan remained silent, busying himself with her admission, staying by her side as she received fluids and applying ointment to her burns. She, however, seemed completely oblivious to his efforts, her eyes fixed on her phone screen, fingers flying as she happily chatted with her beloved. Ling Chuan didn't mind. He considered this care as the last act of their 3-year marriage. After staying by her side for a full day and night, Lin Ruin's fever subsided. Ling Chuan, relieved, wanted to freshen up. 30 minutes later, he returned to the ward to find Lin Ruin tightly clutching his phone. Her expression was grim, and she spoke as he entered. Someone called you earlier, reminding you that the paperwork has been processed. You can leave in a week. Leave? Where are you going? Ling Chuan's heart skipped a beat, but in an instant, he replied casually, I haven't processed any paperwork recently. Must be a scam call. He even picked up the phone and checked the call log, his expression remaining calm. Lin Ruin studied him for a few moments, but couldn't detect any sign of deception. She seemed to relax, letting the matter drop for the time being. You've worked hard taking care of me these past few days. You always wanted to visit Yin University with me, right? There's a celebration event happening soon. I'll go with you. Lang Chuan's movement stilled. He had wanted to go to Yin University because it was her alma mater and he had wanted to retrace her steps, but now they were getting divorced and he had decided to stop loving her. Was there any point in going? She seemed to sense his hesitation, frowning slightly, and made a firm decision. Then it's settled. I'll take you to the university the day after tomorrow. Her tone brooked no argument, leaving him no room to refuse. The day of the celebration coincided with Lin Ruin's discharge from the hospital. As they strolled through the university campus without Ling Chuan initiating conversation, the atmosphere between them was terribly silent. Suddenly, a surprised voice came from behind them. Ruin! Both Ling Chuan and Lin Ruin turned to see Gwen wearing a goose-yellow hoodie running towards them, beaming. What a coincidence running into you at this event. The moment she saw Gwen, Lin Ruin's eyes lit up with a smile. All traces of iciness melted away like snow in spring. Aren't you cold? Dressed so lightly. How could I be cold? It's a return to my alma mater. Of course, I have to dress youthfully. Don't you remember back in school? I was the most resistant to the cold, she teased with a smile. Oh, resistant to the cold, was it? Then who was it that got sick 3 times in 1 month, making me scale the walls countless times to get medicine. Gwyn countered. Hey, that was in the past. Why are you bringing up my embarrassing moments? Lin Ruin playfully retorted. Mentioning the past, Gwyn became even more talkative. Hey, Ruin. Do you remember that artificial lake? After we got together, we often sat on the bench by the lake and chatted right there. We used to sit there all the time. In the summer, I even picked a lotus flower for you. I still remember it. Following the direction of his finger, a young couple sat on the bench, embracing and kissing. And there on that lawn when we had a picnic, you even drew a portrait of me. I still have that painting hanging on my wall. Back then, you came to my dorm every day to bring me breakfast. Even the doorman remembered you. You have no idea. The campus belle of Yin University spoiled me like that. How envious all the girls in school were. As they walked, Ling Chuan, the third wheel, was left behind. It wasn't until Lin Ruin's phone suddenly rang that she had to find a quiet place to answer it, leaving only Ling Chuan and Gwyn. Ling Chuan and Gwyn had nothing to say to each other, and he was about to find an excuse to leave when Gwyn suddenly seemed to change his demeanor. The sunny and cheerful appearance from before vanished instantly, replaced by a look of disdain as he smiled at him. Mr. Ling, I presume you've seen how much Ruin loves me these days. Unexpectedly, Gwyn would lay things out so bluntly. Ling Chuan's face stiffened, and he raised his eyes to look directly at him. If Ruin hadn't thought I was dead and those two old fogies from the Lin family hadn't threatened her with death to force her into blind dates, she would never have been with you. Now that I'm back, aren't you just humiliating yourself by not stepping aside? In truth, Ling Chuan had already decided to leave her and the Lin family completely, even without him saying so. But hearing such provocation and such rudeness, he also cooled his expression. Mr. Gwyn, regardless, I am currently Lin Ruin's legal husband. Are you telling me this because you want to be the third party? Hearing this, Gwyn's face turned extremely unpleasant, as if a sore spot had been struck. A surge of anger suddenly rose in Gwyn's chest. Seeing Ling Chuan about to go downstairs, he abruptly raised his hand and shoved him hard. Ling Chuan was caught off guard and fell backward. His body slammed onto the ground, rolling continuously. A dense, tingling pain spread through his limbs. The agonizing pain almost made him lose consciousness. Even though he tried his best to protect his head and hands, he still suffered a heavy fall. The blood flowing from his head blurred his vision. In the hazy moment before he fainted, he seemed to vaguely see Gwyn staging his own fall. Immediately afterward, Lin Ruin's panicked voice came. Chun Chun, what happened? Are you all right? Guan's tears came readily. Ruin, I'm fine. Just my foot is a little injured. Go and save Mr. Ling. He's bleeding a lot. Why should I care about him? You are the most important thing to me. I only care about your safety. Lin Ruin's words were like a clap of thunder, exploding in Ling Chuan's ears. The pain made his limbs tremble. Even though he had long known she didn't care about him, he didn't know she was so heartless. As the saying goes, a single day of marriage brings 100 days of grace. Lin Ruin. Oh, Lin Ruin. 3 years of marriage, have I truly left no trace in your heart? When he opened his eyes again, Ling Chuan found himself in the hospital. Don't move, the nurse came to change his dressing and seeing him trying to sit up quickly stopped him. You've lost a lot of blood. You need a rest. You've been here for a day. Sent by a passerby. How come no family has contacted you? Your wife's phone is also unreachable. Hearing this, Ling Chuan forced a bitter smile. I don't have a wife. After 2 days in the hospital, Lin Ruin finally arrived. Does it hurt? Receiving this concern from her, Ling Chuan felt not the slightest bit of happiness. He looked at her calmly and said faintly, Why are you here? Aren't you accompanying Gwyn? For a moment, she was speechless. And after a long while, she said, Ling Chuan, you often go to the gym and train. You're in good shape. So, I saved Gwyn first. Don't take it to heart. Ling Chuan closed his eyes, silent for a moment, before slowly opening them. I know you've explained. You can go now. She was somewhat surprised by his cold tone and attitude. And after a long while, she said, I'm here to take care of you. You've taken care of me before, haven't you? Between husband and wife, this is how it should be. Husband and wife, not for long. After that, no matter what Lin Ruin said or did, he maintained a calm demeanor. It was as if the previous dynamic between them had been completely reversed. For some reason, Lin Ruin felt a strange unease, a sense that something was slipping out of control. But as soon as Gwyn called, she instantly cast aside this unease. On the day Ling Chuan was discharged from the hospital, he received a call from the elders asking them to attend a family dinner. Lin's father and mother had specifically called, so neither of them could refuse. And after tidying up, they went. At this family dinner, both Ling Chuan and Lin Ruan ate in silence. And the reason for the silence was the elders urging for them to have children. They had been married for 3 years, and Lin Ruan had never become pregnant. In the past, it was Lin Ruan who didn't want children, always taking precautions. If there were no condoms around, she would stop even in the middle of it. He hadn't understood her intentions before, thinking she wanted to enjoy their time alone together. But now, thinking about it, it was simply that she didn't want to have children with someone she didn't love. So, in the past, when faced with the pressure to have children, it was always Lin Ruan who remained silent while Ling Chuan dealt with it. But today, Ling Chuan didn't deal with it either because only he knew that they would soon be over. After returning, the first thing Lin Ruan did was go into the bathroom to take a shower. But once she went in, it was unclear how long she would be. The sound of water in the bathroom lingered for a long, long time. 1 hour, 2 hours. Just as Ling Chuan had finished showering in the guest room and was preparing to go to bed, Lin Ruan suddenly pushed open the bathroom door and stepped out. "I have a cold. I don't want to give it to you, so let's just go to sleep." She casually towel-dried her hair and lay down as far away from Ling Chuan as possible, as if avoiding a snake. Glancing at the calendar on the cabinet, Ling Chuan belatedly remembered that today was their scheduled monthly intimacy. Remembering today's urging to have a child, he smiled bitterly in his heart. In truth, she had no need to worry. Right now, his mind was solely occupied with leaving. He had no desire to have children with her anymore. A couple who should have been intimately close now had a gap between them wide enough to fit 2 people. Amidst the silence, Lin Ruan's phone rang. Ling Chuan could only vaguely make out that it was Gwyn calling, saying he was being harassed by some thugs at a bar. A cacophony of chaos and screams came from the other end of the line. Lin Ruan abruptly sat up, not even bothering to change her clothes, grabbed her car keys, and rushed out. From beginning to end, she didn't spare a single word for Ling Chuan. He tugged at the corner of his lips and closed his eyes. It wasn't until the middle of the night that his own phone rang. He was jolted awake by the ringing, groggily opened his eyes, and realized it was Selina calling. The moment he answered, Selina's frantic voice came through. "Ling Chuan, Ruan has been stabbed 5 times and she's in the emergency room right now. Get over here immediately." Ling Chuan's mind went blank for a moment. It took him a while to respond with an okay, change his clothes, and head to the hospital. Outside the operating room, Gwyn was shedding tears nonstop, still reeking strongly of alcohol. "It's all my fault. Those thugs were originally after me. If I hadn't repeatedly provoked them, if Ruan hadn't shielded me, she wouldn't be so seriously injured." Selina was furious, helplessly shouting at him, "You know, it's all because of you. You and Ruan both have AB blood type. If you feel guilty, donate blood to her. What's the use of crying? Can crying bring her back to life?" "No, I can't. I'm not in good health," Gwyn cowered back, his face full of fear, making one excuse after another. "I also have a fear of needles. I can't donate blood to her. Why do I have to donate? I really can't." He kept backing away, almost shrinking into a corner. "Selina, aren't you the hospital director? Just get more blood transferred over. Why do I have to donate?" Selina's chest heaved with anger, and she pointed a finger at Gwyn's nose, roaring, "The blood bank is low on blood. Transferring it over isn't an easy task. We've all seen how much Ruan has loved you over the years. If you hadn't insisted on provoking those thugs today, they wouldn't have come after you. You called Ruan and she rushed to save you without a second thought, even taking 5 stabs for you. She risked her life for you, and now you're not even willing to donate a little blood to her. Gwyn, do you have any conscience at all?" But no matter how much they pleaded, Gwyn still refused, even running back home, nearly making Selina faint from anger. At the most critical moment, Ling Chuan arrived. "I'm also AB blood type. Take mine." Suzu was stunned. It took a while before she uttered something harsh. What the hell is this situation? The precious one who loved her like life itself disregarded her safety, making excuses here and there, while the husband she never cared for stepped forward without hesitation. An accident really revealed a person's true colors. "Ruan, you were so wrong before," Selina exclaimed, ignoring her own emotional outburst. Ling Chuan quickly entered the blood donation room. The nurse rushed over to draw his blood. When it reached 400 cubic centimeters and she was about to stop, he suddenly spoke up. "Take another 400 cubic centimeters. I know her injuries are severe and it's a matter of life and death." The nurse, concerned, advised, "Sir, 400 cubic centimeters is already a lot for a normal person." Selina, her eyes wide with surprise, also wanted to stop him, but Ling Chuan shook his head. "I know, but this is an exceptional situation. Since I've started, I must save her." A total of 800 cubic centimeters of blood was drawn from his body. Ling Chuan rested for a while before he heard the news that the surgery was successful. He breathed a sigh of relief. When he stood up, he nearly stumbled and fell. Fortunately, Selina caught him in time. "Sis, brother-in-law," Selina called out, probably for the first time ever addressing him as such, but he wouldn't be for much longer. He tugged at his lips. "I'm fine. Take good care of her. I have something to take care of, so I'll be leaving." Without looking at Selina's expression, he turned and left. Back home, Ling Chuan took some medicine and immediately fell asleep. He had to be at his best in 3 days when he would take up his new position abroad. Before leaving, Ling Chuan packed all his belongings. He no longer inquired about Lin Ruan's injuries, nor did he care about her future with Gwyn. Time gradually passed, and the day of his departure arrived. Ling Chuan left a signed divorce agreement on the table, changed into a brand new suit, and picked up his suitcase, ready to leave. Just then, Lin Ruan returned home, having been discharged from the hospital. They bumped into each other at the door. "Business trip today," Ling Chuan said casually, seeing her calm demeanor. He knew that Selina hadn't told her about Gwyn's refusal to donate blood when she was on the brink of death. But whether she was told or not, it no longer mattered. "Yes," he nodded casually and stepped out of the house. Noticing his unusually formal suit and different tie, she felt an inexplicable sense of loss. Lin Ruan casually picked up her car keys. "I'll drive you to the airport," she offered. Ling Chuan was about to decline, but her phone rang at that very moment. It was Gwyn again. She listened to whatever was being said on the other end, her expression shifting slightly. After hanging up, she looked at Ling Chuan apologetically. "Go ahead if you have something to do. I can manage on my own," he said lightly, not the least bit surprised. Lin Ruan seemed grateful for his understanding, even suggesting they have dinner together when she returned before getting into her car. Watching her figure disappear, Ling Chuan tugged at his lips and strode away with his suitcase. "Return?" Lin Ruan murmured to herself. "I will never return. From now on, the stars will remain, but in Ling Chuan's world, there will be no more Lin Ruan. Today is your first day reporting to Country A. Go and prepare your accommodations in Country A. They have been arranged. Once you arrive, you can choose to live in the dormitory or you can purchase or rent a place off campus." "Thank you." After a nod of acknowledgement, Ling Chuan immediately gathered the team members who would be accompanying him for a preparatory meeting. This was his first time taking a position at an overseas company. During his break, he never stopped learning and gathering information. In the preparatory meeting, as the project manager, he gradually transitioned from initial nervousness to complete ease and competence. Many of his colleagues were impressed by his charisma. From the beginning of the meeting, the position of deputy manager remained vacant. That was to be his assistant. Ling Chuan glanced at the empty seat several times, and just as the meeting was about to conclude, a beautiful blonde woman with blue eyes hurried in. "My apologies. I was just finishing up some tasks. From now on, I will be the deputy project manager, assisting you in completing your work in Country A," she introduced herself concisely and to the point. "I look forward to working with you. I am Zhui Xu, a director of Natsumi International." Ling Chuan was momentarily taken aback, but he quickly nodded. Judging from her appearance, she was likely of mixed heritage, with a prominent brow bone of a Westerner and deep, mesmerizing blue eyes. Ling Chuan didn't dwell on her appearance and continued the meeting according to the requirements of the international company. The chairman of the board had informed him in advance, and he had heard of Zhui Xu's name, the most outstanding director of Natsumi International and the one he would strive to surpass. His expression was firm, and without a trace of hesitation, he began the journey to Country A. During the flight, he remained clear-headed and composed, perfectly handling various unexpected situations, ensuring the team's smooth arrival in Country A. Zhui Xu's gaze towards him gradually turned to one of admiration and approval. "Today is your first day reporting to the international company. You should rest well and adjust to the time difference. You did very well today. I will continue to assist you as deputy manager for 3 months, after which you will be on your own. Yes, thank you for your help today, Ling Chuan replied. After expressing his gratitude, he returned to the dormitory arranged by the company, intending to settle in, freshen up, and go to bed. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ocean, Lin Ruan was practically losing her mind. A few hours earlier, Gwen had merely twisted his ankle, a minor injury. After some simple treatment, for some inexplicable reason, her heart suddenly became extremely uneasy, pounding violently. It felt as if something was about to leave her forever. It will be all right, she comforted herself internally. She even smiled gently at Gwen. Shun, your ankle is fine. Just don't move it around too much these few days. Let the servants take care of everything. I have something to attend to, so I'll be heading back. As she was about to get up, Gwen grabbed her hand. Ruan, can't you stay with me a little longer? If it had been before, she would have stayed without hesitation. But for some reason, her heart was racing unusually fast today, urging her to go home and see for herself. To be reassured only when she saw Ling Chuan at home. She hesitated for a moment, but still made her decision. Shan, I have something to take care of at home. I can't stay with you, but I promise I'll spend more time with you later. With that, she gently pushed Gwen's hand away, settling him back on the sofa. Then without further hesitation, she turned and left. Watching Lin Ruan's departing figure, Gwen angrily stomped his foot, immediately feeling a sharp, piercing pain in his ankle. Damn, he cursed under his breath, his heart filled with resentment. Why did he feel like Lin Ruan had changed so much? Ever since he returned, she was different in so many ways. He had risked his life to come back. How could she so easily choose to let him go? It wasn't fair. Gwen said nothing about the kindness of villagers and his betrayal. Back home, the dark living room was devoid of any light. Perhaps Ling Chuan was still working. She had never been clear about his working hours, and of course, she had never bothered to find out. Turning on the lights, she saw a document placed prominently on the coffee table. Anxiously, her heart was racing faster. She felt almost afraid to look at what the document was. Maybe it's just student papers, she thought self-deceptively, lacking the courage to pick up the document. Despite her resistance, the words on the document kept jumping out at her. Divorce agreement. Seeing these two words, Lin Ruan's mind went blank for a moment, unable to process it. She quickly picked up the divorce agreement, not even glancing at the contents, and flipped directly to the signature page. The clearly written name Ling Chuan came into view, her vision narrowing until only those two words remained. Ling Chuan, he wanted a divorce. After a long silence, Lin Ruan let out a cold laugh, her expression exceptionally ugly. I haven't even brought up divorce. How dare he? Despite her words, she looked as though she had been dealt a severe blow. Her expression shattered, her entire being exuding vulnerability. She found it utterly unbelievable. Clearly he loves me, doesn't he? But why is he the one to propose divorce first? Lin Ruan couldn't understand it. Her hand, clutching the divorce agreement, trembled incessantly, unable to calm down. She had long thought about divorce, and she had even told Susu that she would handle this matter as soon as possible. But for some reason, she had been delaying the final decision. Sometimes she thought having a marriage like this wasn't so bad after all. At least the person she loved was still by her side. But now, Ling Chuan had completely shattered her wishful thinking. He didn't want to continue any longer. And so, he had taken the initiative to propose divorce. But now, the one who didn't want a divorce seemed to be her. She should be happy to see this long-awaited divorce agreement. But now holding the pen, she couldn't bring herself to sign her name. Was she really going to get a divorce? Divorce meant she would no longer have any connection with Ling Chuan. Lin Ruan hesitated, her mind a mess. Unable to make a decision. The pen hovered over the paper for a long time, but in the end, she wrote nothing. Throwing the pen aside, she sat back on the sofa, closing her eyes wearily, her entire being filled with desolation. Her mind kept replaying Ling Chuan's unusual behavior during this period. When exactly had he started to consider divorce? Perhaps it was from the day Gwen came back from the dead. Was it perhaps after countless disappointments? The day they met at the restaurant? The important thing he couldn't quite bring himself to say? Was it about divorce? When she was hospitalized? The thing he hesitantly wanted to show her? Was it the divorce papers? That phone call 2 weeks ago, it wasn't a scam, was it? He really had been transferred. He really did want to leave her. Realizing this, Lin Ruan opened her eyes in despair, her heart overflowing with bitterness. So, he had been planning to leave her all along. And perhaps deep down, she had sensed it, too. She had made countless calls to Ling Chuan, but none had been answered. Not only that, but all other forms of communication had also been met with silence. Lin Ruan was anxious and worried. She desperately wanted to talk to him face to face to ask him what he was thinking, but she was utterly helpless. It wasn't until the sun rose the next day and the clock approached 8 that she drove to the Nansha company, her eyes bloodshot. "Hello, I'm Ling Chuan's wife. Could you please help me find Ling Chuan?" The receptionist hesitated, unsure whether to tell her the truth. Just then, the chairwoman happened to be walking out. She raised an eyebrow upon seeing Lin Ruan and came to the receptionist's rescue. "You go ahead. I'll tell her about Ling Chuan's situation." Then she led Lin Ruan to the reception room, turning to look at her with a serious gaze. "You're Ling Chuan's wife. Do you have proof?" Hearing this, Lin Ruan took out their marriage certificate and placed it in front of the chairwoman. After confirming its authenticity, the chairwoman didn't look at it again, only giving a scornful smile. "As a wife, you don't seem to be very competent. He used to be a free bird soaring in the sky, but you trapped him, selfishly keeping him by your side. Look, the photos hanging on this wall are of all the outstanding project managers throughout the years. Ling Chuan is the first Chinese project manager in the history of our Nansha company. His excellence is admired by all. This wall displays photos of him from his first few years with the company, except for the 3 years he spent with you. Now that he has finally come to his senses and is once again pursuing his own self and dreams, why are you here looking for him?" The chairwoman introduced, gazing at the photos of Ling Chuan with admiration. Listening to her introduction, Lin Ruan couldn't help but be drawn to the photos of him as well. Standing among the many company employees, Ling Chuan's handsome features stood out, and the most captivating aspect was his bright, clear eyes. His eyes seemed to contain boundless hope and confidence. From his demeanor, she could genuinely feel his happiness. It was only then that Lin Ruan realized how little she knew about him. She only knew he was a project manager, but she didn't understand how truly outstanding he was. Standing in his workplace, he seemed to radiate a dazzling light, utterly captivating. Lin Ruan felt a surge of guilt and timidity, unconsciously pursing her lips before slowly saying, I came to find him to tell him I don't want a divorce. He left me a divorce agreement and then disappeared. Yesterday, before he left, he told me he had a business trip planned. I'm a little worried about him." The teacher, Lin, who is usually so articulate and at ease in the classroom, was suddenly tongue-tied. She had to carefully consider every word before speaking. "Don't want a divorce?" The chairwoman scoffed coldly. "A good marriage can be a driving force for a person, but when that marriage becomes a burden, it should be severed decisively. I'm also a married person, and I'll be frank, you two should have ended things long ago. You're not compatible, and you'll only drag him down, trapping him in a vortex of love and marriage, spiraling downwards endlessly. Moreover, as far as I know, you seem to have a first love, a white moonlight that you can't let go of. Aren't you planning to get back together with him?" The chairwoman's words struck directly at the deepest part of Lin Ruan's heart, almost exposing her hidden, shameful thoughts. Should she give up? But she didn't seem willing. The mere thought of Ling Chuan possibly belonging to another woman sent sharp pangs of pain through her heart. After 3 years together, one would develop feelings even for a pet. How could she not be moved by someone as outstanding as him? It was just that her lingering attachment and love for Gwyn had always entangled her thoughts, constantly warning her heart that she couldn't fall in love with him. Sometimes Lin Ruan even thought that it would be better if Gwyn forever lived in some corner of the world, never to return. At least then she could live a peaceful and happy life with Ling Chuan. Or if she and Ling Chuan had never met, if she had been more resolute in refusing the arranged marriage. Would she not be in this current dilemma? Lin Ruan lowered her eyes, her hair slightly obscuring her gaze, not daring to meet the chairwoman's eyes. She herself hadn't figured out what decision to make. After a long silence, she licked her dry lips and said in a hoarse voice, I want to see him. After I see him, I'll make a choice." Hearing this, the chairwoman chuckled softly. "Ms. Lin, he has already been transferred to the international company and should be settled in country A by now. His intentions are already clear. Surely you understand." Lin Ruan was stunned. She never imagined that he would go to such lengths to leave her. Had he truly given up on her? She was still in a daze when she left the airline company. However, as soon as she left, the chairwoman called Ling Chuan. "Hello, Ling Chuan. Your wife just came looking for you, saying she wants to meet with you before deciding whether to divorce. What are your thoughts?" Ling Chuan was taken aback for a moment, then quickly composed himself and replied, "Please tell her for me that I won't meet with her. There's no need. It's better for everyone if she signs the divorce papers as soon as possible." After hanging up the phone, he felt utterly uninterested. So many times in the past, he had wanted to discuss the divorce face to face with her, but it always ended in vain. What was the point of meeting now? It was just a meaningless delay. Lin Ruan had just gotten out of the car when she saw a man squatting at her doorstep. "Chen Chun, what are you doing here?" Gwyn curled up in a ball, slowly raising his head. "I've been waiting for you for a long time. Why are you back so late?" "I knocked on your door, but no one answered." "Where's Ling Chuan? Why aren't you home?" he asked, standing up as if to embrace her again. Lin Ruan instinctively pressed her hand against his shoulder, resisting him with a subtle push back. "You know the passcode. Next time you come looking for me, you don't have to wait outside." "Okay," Gwyn beamed, linking his arm with hers as he punched in the code and entered the house. His eyes were instantly drawn to the document on the coffee table, and he limped over to pick it up. "Divorce papers, Ruan. Ling Chuan wants a divorce." His eyes shone with a strange delighted light, and he was so overcome with emotion that tears began to fall. He scanned to the signature line at the end, only to find Ling Chuan's name alone without Lin Ruan's. His heart skipped a beat. "Ruan? You're not still hung up on him, are you?" The question hung in the air, and the entire villa fell into a deathly silence, so quiet you could hear your own heartbeat. Lin Ruan remained silent while Gwyn looked at her with tear-filled eyes. "Ruan, if you don't want a divorce, then I should. I just give up? Is it because of me that you two are getting divorced? It's my fault. Maybe I shouldn't have come back alive. I should have just died at sea. That way, I wouldn't be an obstacle between you two." He defiantly tossed the divorce papers in her face and limped away. "Shinshan, it's not what you think," Lin Ruan hurried after him, anxiously searching the villa grounds. Finally, she found Gwyn in the garden. His ankle was alarmingly swollen, and Lin Ruan's heart ached for him. She held him close, comforting him repeatedly. "Let's go back inside." "Okay, I don't want to," Lin Ruan replied, her voice trembling. "Maybe we should just call it quits," Gwyn sniffled, his eyes red-rimmed as he looked at her. His voice choked with emotion. "I'll be like you and listen to my family's arrangements. I'll just find someone to marry and settle down for the rest of my life, just like you did before. Anyway, you didn't keep your promise to only marry me, so I don't have to hold on anymore." As he spoke, tears streamed down his face, leaving Lin Ruan in a state of inner turmoil. Rezin had told her that she should say she'd get a divorce as soon as possible and that she'd marry him. But for some reason, she couldn't bring herself to say the words. The words were on the tip of her tongue. Her lips moved a few times, but all that came out was a sigh. She hung her head, pondering for a long while before finally painfully delivering her answer. "We'll get a divorce." After uttering those words, she felt a strange heaviness in her body and soul. It was as if a great weight pressed on her chest, making it hard to breathe. She regretted saying it almost as soon as the words left her lips. "Really?" Gwyn exclaimed, throwing himself into Lin Ruan's arms, gazing at her with a spoiled expression. "Then let's go sign the papers now, okay?" No, the word was on the tip of her tongue, but she forced it back down. In the end, Lin Ruan wasn't even sure how she managed to sign her name on the divorce papers. The characters lacked any of her usual flair, and the moment she signed, she was filled with regret. But Gwyn didn't give her a chance to reconsider. He quickly snatched up the divorce papers and sent a photo of them to Ling Chuan. "Ruan has signed. We're just waiting for you to come back and finalize the procedure." Ling Chuan, who had just finished work and was preparing to head home, saw the message without any surprise. They must be together by now. His heart no longer felt a thing. At that moment, a slender figure stood behind him, her eyes filled with admiration and respect. "Why the distraction?" Ling Chuan asked, turning to see Zhui Xu standing there. "The handover isn't complete yet." Suzu's initially pleasant mood turned strangely complex for a moment when she glimpsed the contents of his phone. She couldn't quite put her finger on whether she felt happy or annoyed. For some reason, Ling Chuan felt a sense of respectful awe towards her, like he would toward a teacher. He answered, "Honestly, I'm discussing divorce matters." We're scheduled to go back and get the divorce certificate next Monday. Do you need me to go with you? Susu asked abruptly, causing Ling Chuan to freeze. What do you mean? He replied, taken aback. I said, do you need me to go with you? From what I know, divorces can sometimes involve disputes. Do you need a helper? She asked earnestly, her clear blue eyes filled with sincerity. Seeing her like this, Ling Chuan couldn't help but smile. Sure, then I'll hire you as my muscle. He assumed she was joking and was even a little surprised that someone as serious as her would make a joke. However, Susu's next response completely stunned Ling Chuan. Okay, tell me the address. I'll go with you that day. What? Are you serious? Ling Chuan asked, his eyes flickering with a hint of annoyance. He wanted to take back what he had just said, but unfortunately, the words were already out and she had taken them seriously. There was no harm in bringing her along, he thought. Monday arrived, the day Ling Chuan and Lin Ruan had agreed upon. Lin Ruan arrived at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau as promised. Over the past few days, she had spent nearly every moment regretting the words she had spoken. But seeing Gwyn's happy face, she couldn't bring herself to say anything about her regrets. Was she really going to get a divorce? Seeing the newly married couples walking out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, beaming with joy, she suddenly felt a pang of emotion. Had she and Ling Chuan been as happy as them when they got married? But the photos on their marriage certificate clearly told her otherwise. She hadn't been happy at all that day. She was still immersed in the despair of Gwyn's death and the pressure from her parents, unable to muster a single smile. Ling Chuan, on the other hand, had a faint smile on his face. He had initially been full of anticipation for this marriage, hadn't he? How had they ended up here? Lin Ruan remained silent, unwilling to take a single step into the Civil Affairs Bureau. Ruan, Gwyn shook her hand, calling her name several times, but she remained unresponsive. Gwyn's expression grew increasingly grim, and he felt a sense of things spiraling out of control. But he couldn't wait any longer. He had to seize this opportunity to make Lin Ruan and Ling Chuan divorce. He feared that if he missed this chance, she might not be willing to divorce him next time. At that moment, Ling Chuan arrived at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau with Susu. Lin Ruan, I'm here, he said, his tone flat and devoid of emotion. He showed no reaction to the intimate gestures between Lin Ruan and Gwyn, as if she were watching two strangers. Hearing Ling Chuan's voice, Lin Ruan instinctively turned her head. The moment she saw him, she also saw Susu behind him. After all, Susu was tall and leggy, very eye-catching. Ling Chuan's face was almost as dark as the bottom of a pot, and her voice was so cold it could almost freeze into ice. She had never thought that one day another woman would appear beside him. Moreover, judging from their familiarity, they should have known each other for a long time. Ling Chuan, we are not divorced yet. How can you bring another woman to me? She exclaimed. Hearing this, Ling Chuan felt that her anger was a bit baffling. So he calmly replied. So, aren't we here to get a divorce today? Aren't you going in? We are not getting a divorce. Lin Ruan was about to say the last two words, but was interrupted by Gwyn. Yes, Ruan, let's go in quickly. The appointment time is up. We could talk about anything later. Gwyn held her hand. But he couldn't pull her even a step. She still stood there. Ling Chuan didn't care what they were thinking, and strode directly in. Susu took a deep look at her, always calm, and followed his steps inside. After a long time, Lin Ruan and Gwyn followed. At this time, the staff of the Civil Affairs Bureau quickly greeted them with smiles on their faces. Ladies and gentlemen, are you here to register for marriage together? You two couples are really a good match. No, I'm here with him to get a divorce. Ling Chuan pointed to Lin Ruan behind him. For a moment, the smile on the staff's face instantly froze. Is that so? Please come this way. Following the guidance of the staff, the four came to the divorce processing window. Mr. Ling and Ms. Lin, are you sure you want a divorce? The staff asked routinely. I'm sure. Ling Chuan said firmly. Lin Ruan remained silent. Her face was solemn and her eyes were fixed on Ling Chuan. She opened her mouth with a hoarse voice. Chuan, can we not get a divorce? Saying this sentence had exhausted all her strength. As soon as she finished speaking, Ling Chuan gave a decisive answer. No. The light in Lin Ruan's eyes dimmed inch by inch, leaving only darkness. Okay, we are sure we want a divorce, she said to the staff with difficulty. She still tried to tell herself that divorce was what she wanted. And there was nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong. The sourness in her heart almost swallowed her whole. And she saw the divorce certificate stamped and issued. Her eyes were bloodshot, especially Ling Chuan having Susu by his side. After you get the divorce certificate, do you still plan to come back? Susu asked casually. I won't come back from the moment I chose to transfer to the international company. I didn't plan to come back a few times. I've already looked at the house and country. Yay! And I'll move out of the company dormitory in a while. He answered seriously, a little nervous in his heart when he got the divorce certificate. At the moment of the successful divorce, he only felt that a mountain that had been pressing on him had finally disappeared. He was completely unrelated to Lin Ruan. Only he was left on the divorce certificate. But Lin Ruan was not happy at all. Different from the smiles of the other three. She was full of loneliness and her aura was extremely suppressed. Ruan, we can finally be together again. Aren't you happy? Gwen smiled and grasped her hand in his big hand, forcibly interlocking their fingers, eager to prove his love for her. He also gave Ling Chuan a provocative look as if to say, look, you are indeed not as important as me. In her heart, Ling Chuan remained silent. When he felt Lin Ruan's gaze, he quickly shook off Gwen's hand and hurriedly explained. We have nothing. This deliberately conspicuous explanation only attracted Ling Chuan's ridicule. They were already divorced. What was there to explain? Ling Chuan withdrew his gaze and stopped looking at the two of them, only saying to Susu beside him, there were no accidents today, and you weren't needed as a fighter. But thank you for coming with me today. You're welcome. It's good that you can get a divorce smoothly. A faint smile appeared on her beautiful face, which attracted Ling Chuan's attention for no reason. Different from her usual serious and meticulous image, Susu today had a relaxed and comfortable feeling. And she was more approachable. Ling Chuan unknowingly lost his previous fear, and only regarded her as a friend. Lin Ruan followed behind them, staring at her back for a long time. She didn't even hear what Guan said to her. So besides in front of her, he would also show such a smile to others. Just as she was in a trance. A dilapidated van sped towards this direction. Ling Chuan and Lin Ruan almost forgot about Guan beside them, and rushed over to protect Ling Chuan without hesitation. However, Ling Chuan and Susu were both in good physical condition and easily dodged. She missed and a van stopped rubbing against her body. The person who came was very unkind. However, Guan was not so lucky. The van brushed past him and he was knocked to the ground extremely embarrassed. Even Lin Ruan, who usually protected him, did not appear by his side at this time to care about his condition. Seeing the dilapidated van and the familiar license plate number, Gwen's face turned pale and his lips trembled unconsciously. No, don't. It wasn't me. He almost crawled up and wanted to leave without any image. At this time, the car door opened and a young man with a delicate appearance and simple clothes got out of the car with a dark face. Guan, you didn't expect that I could find you one day. Li Bo gritted his teeth, looking at Gwen's extremely hypocritical face. He just wanted to peel off his skin, pull out his bones, chew him up, and swallow him. It wasn't me. You've mistaken me. Guan quickly hid behind Lin Ruan, looking at him timidly. Ruan, this person is a bad person. Don't believe anything he says. However, Lin Ruan was not a fool. She had been a university lecturer for so long. And she almost instantly realized that something was wrong. The man who got out of the car could call out Gwen's name in one breath. And judging from his attitude, it was obvious that the two had an unusual relationship. Perhaps during the 3 years of his disappearance, Guan was with him. Realizing this, Lin Ruan instantly understood something. She clutched Gwen's hand tightly, pulled him in front of her, and asked sharply. Don't deny it. You know him, right? Seeing him lower his head in silence, the anger in her heart grew even stronger. What exactly is your relationship with him? Tell me the truth so I can help you. I. Guan stammered for a long time, unable to utter a complete sentence. But both sneered. If he won't tell you, then I will. 3 years ago, my father risked his life to save him. But he himself died from inhaling too much water. Our family are all fishermen by the sea, good at swimming. Over the years, we've saved countless people who've fallen into the water without any problems. Why did he drown only when he was rescuing him? Speaking of this, Libo was choked with sobs, his chest heaving with anger. And his eyes staring at Gwen were terrifying. For a moment, everyone was silent with various speculations surfacing in their minds.
Enough. Don't say any more. Libo, you came all the way to the capital to find me. Wasn't it just for money? I have money. I'll give it to you. Just name your price.
Guan was so flustered that he almost forgot to maintain his usual gentle and considerate tone. Seeing him like this, a mocking smile appeared on Libo's lips.
I don't want your money. I want to tell everyone about the terrible things you've done. Do you think no one knows about these things just because you left Xing City? Impossible.
Then he continued.
At first, I really thought it was an accident. I was fooled by his innocent look. He said he wanted to atone for his sins and compensate my family. And he stayed at my house to take care of my mother. But in fact, it was just because he had lost his memory and had nowhere to go. Looking for a place to stay. My mother was good to him and she hardly let him do anything. Someone wanted to introduce my sister to a potential husband. And also said that Guan was able-bodied and he could go out to work and find his relatives. When he heard this, he became unwilling and confessed his feelings to my sister that night, saying he wanted to marry her. My sister was naturally moved by him, accepted his proposal, and married him. Little did she know this was the beginning of her nightmare. Recalling the past, Libo laughed self-deprecatingly. Hating Gwen, but also hating himself. At first, they lived happily for 2 years until their wedding anniversary when he got drunk and accidentally let it slip. He said that when my father rescued him onto the boat and was about to perform artificial respiration, he woke up and found the sight of that face disgusting. He thought my father was trying to assault him. So he kicked him several times and pushed him off the boat, watching him drown in the sea without lifting a finger. The rescue rope was right there, but he did nothing. Speaking of this, Libo's hatred reached its peak. His words almost squeezed out from the depths of his throat. That night, I was so angry that I pushed him, almost wanting to strangle him. But in the end, I let go. I couldn't become a devil like him. And besides, he was my sister's husband. His head hit the wall and the next morning he unexpectedly remembered everything. He pretended to atone for his sins and apologized to our family. But when my sister was critically ill and we had raised money for her treatment, he took all the money and ran away. My sister, she couldn't be saved. Libo's voice was incredibly soft and he seemed somewhat dazed. For a moment, the entire scene was dead silent. Even Ling Chuan and Zhui Xu, who hadn't had time to leave, were silent. Lin Ruan looked at Guan beside her, her eyes filled with disbelief. She couldn't imagine that the person she had been taking care of all this time was such a morally corrupt individual. She could tolerate his past willfulness and arrogance, not considering them as flaws, but rather finding them endearing. But she couldn't accept the fact that he had caused the death of 2 lives. Her eyes showed visible disappointment and also some confusion. Why had the once sunny and cheerful boy become such a vicious person? Lin Ruan couldn't understand, but Ling Chuan wasn't surprised. From Gwen's previous ruthless attitude, it was clear that he was not a good person. But Lin Ruan was willing to believe him. Gwen clutched Lin Ruan's hand, pleadingly, shaking his head desperately. Ruan. We grew up together. You know best what kind of person I am, right? How could I be so cruel to others? Besides, he has no evidence. It's just his word. Ruan, you have to believe me. He pleaded with red eyes. But Lin Ruan brushed his hand away in disappointment and sighed deeply. Guchuan, since you say Libo has no evidence, then where did you get the money to return to the capital? Why didn't the person who saved you come with you to ask for compensation or see how you were doing? Just as Guan was about to speak, Lin Ruan quickly blocked his excuse. Don't tell me you earned it yourself by working. Your hands don't have any calluses and your skin is fair. 3 years have passed. If you've been working, you wouldn't look like this. Hearing this, Gwen's face turned pale, his lips moving several times. But he couldn't come up with a reasonable explanation. I didn't do it. It's all Libo's slander. He muttered, finally squeezing out these words. Suddenly, everyone sided with Libo. From his clothes, the calluses on his hands, and the color of his skin, it was clear how hard he had worked all these years. In order to rush here, Libo had been working several jobs a day for the past few months. So busy that he almost didn't rest, and he had become incredibly thin. Compared with Gwen's fair and rosy complexion, the difference was stark. Even passers-by couldn't help but comment. This man is so thin he's just skin and bones. He'll probably blow away with the wind. For a moment, everyone fell silent again. At this moment, the sound of police sirens approached from afar. Gwen's expression changed instantly, and he turned to run. Before anyone else could react, Zhui Xu and Ling Chuan grabbed Gwen from both sides and handed him over to the police. Seeing the police take Gwen away, Li Bo was so emotional that he could hardly speak. He hated Guan to the core, and he had only wanted to expose his true colors. He hadn't dared to think about anything beyond that. The Su family was considered a prominent family in the capital. While he was just a small fisherman from a coastal city, unable to do anything. Little did he expect that the day would come when the truth would be revealed. The police calmed him down and Ling Chuan took the opportunity to hand a recording to them. After a brief statement, Ling Chuan and Zhui Xu were about to leave. Ling Chuan, at this moment, Lin Ruan suddenly called out to him and said solemnly, "I'm sorry. The time you fell down the stairs, he pushed you, didn't he?" Ling Chuan looked back at her, gave a slight nod, and turned to leave. It was as if it didn't matter whether Lin Ruan knew the truth or not. After all, she had already experienced the pain of being misunderstood, and an apology wouldn't change anything. Lin Ruan's expression quickly turned ashen. "It's all my fault. It's all my fault." The guilt in her heart was almost overflowing, but she had no right to seek his forgiveness. Gwen's unwilling voice came out. "I want a lawyer. I didn't do it. I didn't do anything. It's all his slander. He has no evidence. Why should I be locked up? The Gu family and the Lin family won't let you get away with this." Hearing the words, "Gu family," the police officers hesitated for a moment. Immediately, Lin Ruan strode over and said coldly, "Don't be afraid of the Gu family. I am Lin Ruan, a member of the Lin family. Whatever crime Gwen has committed, convict him. He has done so many wrong things. This is what he deserves." Her cold, emotionless voice carried inside, and Gwen was completely despondent. His quibbling voice died down, leaving only silence. Gwen's parents rushed over. And after just one look at Lin Ruan's face, they quickly made a decision. "Guan, who gave you the guts to kill and harm people? You disgraced our Gu family. From now on, it's as if we never had a son like you." Gwen's parents came and left in a hurry. At this time, Li Bo stood outside the door with the joy of revenge and glared at him fiercely. "Gwen, you didn't expect this, did you? I found a witness from back then. Someone on the boat saw you push my dad and even accidentally took a video. Even Lin Ruan and your parents whom you valued the most have abandoned you. Your dream is shattered. You will spend the rest of your life repenting." After saying that, Li Bo left directly, never looking back. Gwen slumped to the ground in despair, murmuring blankly, "It's gone. Everything is gone." If it weren't for Lin Ruan's past affection for him, her parents wouldn't have treated him well at all. He had clearly been striving for it, and he was so close. If only he and Lin Ruan had gotten married. Everything would have been perfect. Why did Ling Chuan have to appear? Why did he have to compete with him? Guan slammed his fist against the wall, venting his anger, but only brought tears to his eyes. From now on, there would be no one to protect him and love him. For the rest of his life, he was afraid he would have to spend it in prison. When Lin Ruan returned home, she was left with only loneliness. In such a large villa, there was not a trace of life, only coldness. Ling Chuan's belongings had long been packed away by him. The ironic thing was that apart from the photos with Gwen, there was not a single photo of her and Ling Chuan in the villa. There wasn't even a single photo of him saved on her phone. So that now she had no way to even miss him. In 3 years, she had truly been an incompetent wife. After Ling Chuan and Zhui Xu returned to Country A, they completed their last collaborative project. "Ling Chuan, starting tomorrow, you'll be collaborating with other people. Are there any other questions?" Zhui Xu asked solemnly. "No problem," Ling Chuan replied with the most determined voice. He was already a very experienced project manager, and even without Zhui Xu, he had full confidence. The country and market was his territory to soar. Watching planes fly across the sky, sometimes Lin Ruan would think maybe Ling Chuan was on that plane. Maybe he would come back to see her someday. She knew that after he was transferred to the international company headquarters, he would rarely come back. But she didn't expect that after the day of the divorce, she would never see him again. However, the memories of him in her mind became clearer and clearer. His birthday, she could remember it very clearly now. She would never forget it again. He was allergic to mangoes, didn't like spicy food, loved flowers, loved. All his preferences were gradually imprinted in her mind. But she no longer had the chance to tell him. Ling Chuan, I remember all your preferences, everything about you. When will you come back? She taught her boring courses in a bland manner, but no longer occasionally talked about her life as she used to. At a lecture, a curious new student asked again. Professor, you are so young. May I ask if you have a boyfriend? Suddenly, a chorus of boos rang out, and the boy who stood up turned red in the face. Lin Ruan turned the wedding ring on her ring finger. I'm married, and I love my husband very much. This was the first time in her many years of teaching that she had said she loved her husband, and even the teaching assistant was stunned. However, there was a trace of unconcealable sorrow in her eyes, which made people want to smooth out the wrinkles between her eyebrows. The boy who stood up was still unwilling to give up and asked again. Then why haven't we seen him come to school to see you? We've mostly seen the spouses of other teachers. As soon as these words came out, the whole place instantly fell into a dead silence. Lin Ruan's face also instantly sank and she forced a smile. My husband is very busy. He works in a company abroad and rarely has time to come to school. Many people just took her words as a joke and some even thought that her husband had passed away, which was why she was so melancholic. The boy who asked the question was instantly ashamed and quickly sat down, not daring to look up for a long time, only feeling that he really deserved to die for bringing up the teacher's sad past. After the lecture, Lin Ruan returned to her private office to rest. The photos of Gwen on the desk had been replaced with portraits and photos of Ling Chuan at some point. The only few photos were from the official website of Nansha Company and their wedding photos. After those wedding photos were burned, Lin Ruan asked the wedding company for the negatives and printed out a few copies to put in her home and office. The Ling Chuan in the photo smiled with a confidence and warmth that she hadn't seen in a long time. When exactly had that smile disappeared, she couldn't even remember. After finishing her teaching work, Lin Ruan returned home to another sleepless night. The space beside her in bed would never be occupied again, and even the lingering scent on the pillow was fading. I used the same body wash and shampoo as her. So why doesn't it smell like her? Lin Ruan muttered to herself, her eyes bloodshot and terrifyingly red, the dark circles beneath them profound. She hadn't slept properly in days, her body screaming for rest. But even when she did manage to drift off for a few minutes, she would jolt awake from nightmares. In her dreams, Ling Chuan kept leaving her again and again, just like that day without warning. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't hold on to him. The next day's alarm rang and Lin Ruan went through the motions like a machine, washing up, changing clothes, eating breakfast, and heading out. Having completed the entire routine, she collapsed just as she reached the door. Her students, noticing their teacher's prolonged absence, tried calling her. When that failed, they quickly informed other teachers. The teachers who knew Lin Ruan managed to find Ling Chuan's contact information and fortunately got through. Hello, may I help you? One teacher anxiously said, You're Lin Ruan, teacher Lin's husband, right? We were wondering if something happened to teacher Lin. She didn't come to class today and no one can reach her. Ling Chuan's cool voice reached everyone's ears. I'm sorry, but Lin Ruan and I are divorced. If you need anything, you can call her parents or her friend Selena. I'll send their numbers to your phone shortly. Right now, I'm preparing to hand over my duties and will soon be starting an important meeting. Please do not disturb me after this. The distinct sounds of an airport could be heard in the background and the other teachers in the office fell silent. The students were even more shocked, each one of them speechless. After hanging up, 3 phone numbers were sent, each clearly labeled. The teachers contacted them one by one. When Selena answered, she immediately said she would go check on Lin Ruan. Arriving at Lin Ruan's home, Selena opened the door to find her collapsed on the floor. Seeing her so haggard, Selena was exasperated and immediately helped her to the hospital. When she woke up again, Lin Ruan stared blankly at the hospital's white ceiling, saying nothing. Selena, furious, punched her on the arm. Who are you trying to impress with this pathetic act? Are you trashing your body? Is it worthy for the 800 cubic centimeters of blood Ling Chuan transfused to you? What? Lin Ruan didn't utter a sound after the punch, but at these words, she froze quickly, grabbing Selena's hand and asking. You're saying Ling Chuan gave me the blood transfusion? Not Gwen. Hearing this, Selena couldn't help but sneer. Gwen? That coward? He knew you were critically ill, but he claimed he was afraid of needles and kept hiding. How could it have been him? He's worthless. And to think how well you treated him before. He's an ungrateful wretch. If I hadn't been so busy and forgotten to tell you, how could you have believed his nonsense? Her tone was full of disdain for Gwen, completely unlike her previous matchmaking attitude.
Hearing this, Lin Ruan smiled bitterly, tears streaming down her face.
It's my fault. I've always wronged Ling Chuan. I've done so much wrong.
All her regret was drowned in a sigh. See how Linga shook her head and said, if you still can't let him go after him, apologize, and explain everything. Of course, whether he'll forgive you, that's hard to say, but Lin Ruan seemed not to hear the last part, her eyes lighting up with a strange glow. Okay, I should sincerely apologize to him. After being discharged from the hospital, she bought a plane ticket to Country A, hoping to see Ling Chuan at the company. However, she had forgotten one thing. Ling Chuan was a project manager. If everything went as expected, he would never appear at the company headquarters. Arriving in Country A, Lin Ruan spent money to obtain a map of Country A and information about the company. Seeing Ling Chuan's name on it, she felt a strange nervousness. She went to the project department where Ling Chuan was located and waited at the exit long in advance for Ling Chuan to appear. Seeing him appear in the project department uniform and safety helmet, she subconsciously called out his name.
Ling Chuan.
However, Ling Chuan only paused briefly before continuing to walk, not even giving her a glance. Lin Ruan comforted herself, thinking he was probably at work and it was inconvenient to respond. Still, just seeing him was enough. She followed the crowd and foolishly continued to wait at the entrance. She seemed tireless, waiting until Ling Chuan finished work and handed over his duties to the other members of the project team before following behind him.
Excuse me, miss.
Employees only in this area. The security guard quickly stopped Lin Ruan, gesturing for her to go the other way. If you can't find the exit, one of our staff members will guide you out.
Lin Ruan was somewhat disappointed and could only leave through the safety exit.
After chasing after Ling Chuan like this several times, she finally waited for him before he went to work.
Ling Chuan, can we talk? I've done a lot of things to wrong you in the past, and now I want to formally apologize.
She said sincerely, her eyes showing a cautiousness completely unlike her previous aloofness when her eyes could hold no one but Gwen.
Even Ling Chuan hadn't expected to be treated this way one day.
He sneered inwardly, but only replied calmly, sure, but there's no need to ask for forgiveness. I like my life very much now, and I have no intention of going back to the past. Hearing this, Lin Ruan was momentarily speechless. Ling Chuan, I'm sorry, she sincerely lowered her usually proud head.
In our 3 years of marriage, I didn't fulfill the responsibilities of a wife. When I accepted you, I didn't empty my heart. It was my fault.
In the past, I thought I didn't love you, which is why I said I would handle our matters and plan a divorce.
But when you really left me, I realized that I had already fallen in love with you. On the day of the divorce, I had countless feelings of unwillingness and reluctance. If you had shown even the slightest unwillingness to divorce, I would have backed down. But you really want to leave me. I have no choice but to let go, to set you free.
Her eyes, as she looked at Ling Chuan, were filled with a cautious tenderness.
I know it was you who gave me the blood transfusion. If it weren't for you, I might have died on that hospital bed. I misjudged people. I was so kind to a villain. I'm sorry.
She lowered her head in shame, letting out a deep sigh. But he showed little sign of being moved. He looked up at the sky, a sense of release washing over him. He hadn't expected that in this relationship, he too had been loved. It was just that Lin Ruan's love was too shallow. If only she had realized earlier that she had feelings for him, perhaps they wouldn't have come to this. But in her heart, Gwen was ultimately more important.
Wasn't that evident from the countless times she had risked her life to save him?
Even her decision to divorce was probably not for herself, but to be with Gwen. Ling Chuan simply shook his head with a smile.
Lin Ruan, none of that matters anymore. All I know is that divorce is the better choice for both of us. I won't forgive you. Set me free and don't come looking for me again.
After all, to me, you're nothing but a bother now.
Just a bother?
Lin Ruan's expression crumbled, her eyes filled with confusion, her body swayed, unable to accept his words as if she might collapse.
If that's the case, then I understand. I'll try not to disturb you.
It seemed to take all her strength to utter those words, stumbling over them. Before she could even say goodbye, Susu appeared behind Ling Chuan.
Why haven't you left yet? The meeting is today, and it's almost time.
Her cold gaze softened instantly when it landed on Ling Chuan.
All right, I'll go now. Ling Chuan quickly followed Susu.
One tall, one short, their figures striking. They made a perfect match as they walked together, drawing the attention of many.
Lin Ruan.
He suddenly called her name, making her turn around. But then he only said 2 words, goodbye. And without looking back, he left with Susu.
Will you be happier with her?
She murmured to herself, her voice barely audible. The bitterness and pain in her heart threatened to overwhelm her.
As women, how could she not understand the meaning behind Susu's gaze?
From the first moment she saw Susu, Lin Ruan had felt a deep sense of animosity.
But now, it seemed that no matter how she looked at it, she couldn't compare to Susu.
They were both project managers, sharing an unparalleled understanding.
While her short 3-year relationship with Ling Chuan had left nothing behind, what did she have to compete with Susu?
Lin Ruan felt a profound sense of helplessness. She had personally thrown Ling Chuan away, and in his heart she had been sentenced to death, not even having the right to compete with Susu. A notification popped up on her phone reminding her to board her flight.
Silently, she followed the crowd into the airport and boarded the plane.
The plane took off and landed, and Lin Ruan returned to the capital, but she was all alone.
Selena was waiting at the airport.
Seeing her return alone, she understood what had happened and sighed deeply.
Ruan, you broke his heart back then. It's normal that he doesn't forgive you. Life goes on. Let it go.
Lin Ruan understood the logic, but she just couldn't let go so quickly. It had taken Ling Chuan 3 years to let go of Gwyn. How long would it take her to let go of Ling Chuan? Only she knew that this time it was truly over. Every time a man showed interest in her, she couldn't help but think of Ling Chuan. This love fermented by time had gradually deepened.
The details she had once overlooked now surfaced in her mind one by one.
She returned to her previous routine of school and home.
A 2-point life.
It seemed perfectly normal except for her regular monthly visits to a psychologist. Another family dinner came around and Lin's mother called several times before she finally answered.
Ruan, it's time for the family dinner. Remember to come back with Ling Chuan, don't forget. Lin Ruan remained silent for a long time before finally answering. Mom, Ling Chuan and I are divorced. She won't be coming back. What?
Lin's mother shrieked in surprise, completely losing her usual composure as a noblewoman. After hanging up the phone, Lin's father and mother rushed over as quickly as possible.
Why would Ling Chuan divorce you for no reason? Did you do something to wrong her? Come on, go with me to apologize. Get Chuan back for me.
Lin's mother pointed at Lin Ruan's nose and roared, her voice filled with disappointment. But Lin Ruan remained motionless, simply saying, "He won't forgive me, Mom."
Give it up.
Seeing her so dejected, Lin's mother suddenly remembered how she had been 3 years ago and her attitude softened.
If that's your choice, then so be it.
She pinched the bridge of her nose, her voice weary. We were unfair to him before, and we should compensate the Ling family.
But your life must go on. You need someone to share it with.
Lin's mother earnestly advised, even flipping through her phone to find contact information for her wealthy friends, trying to find a suitable man to introduce to her.
No need.
I don't want to make another innocent person the next Ling Chuan, Lin Ruan said. At Lin Ruan's words, Lin's mother fell silent. She even began to reflect on whether the decision she had made back then was right or wrong.
If she hadn't forced Ruan to marry, would things have turned out differently? If Ling Chuan and Lin Ruan had met normally after she had completely let go of Gwyn, would they have lived happily ever after?
Lin's mother felt a deep sense of guilt. She pursed her lips, unsure of what to say. After a long silence, she sighed, all right.
It's up to you. As long as you can be happy, we won't force you.
As long as you don't seek death, we can accept anything else.
Your father and I can't bear that kind of blow. Lin's father nodded in agreement.
I'll arrange for someone to provide you with psychological counseling from time to time.
Living is important. Don't gamble with your life. Lin Ruan shook her head. I won't. Ling Chuan is still alive and well in this world. I won't think of dying. As long as I can occasionally go and see him, that would be enough.
Another long vacation came. And Lin Ruan once again boarded a flight to country A. Wherever Ling Chuan was, she would never miss it. Even if she could only see him from afar, knowing he was doing well, that was enough. After taking the Nona International flight so many times, even some of the staff members recognized her. After all, someone so beautiful was easy to remember. Not to mention, she always spent money to inquire about the scheduling of Ling Chuan's projects.
Sigh. Looks like another one chasing after Manager Ling. How many have we seen this year? One staff member whispered during their break. She's the one who's persisted the longest, right? Another chimed in. Yeah.
Others really don't have her perseverance.
It's just a pity our Manager Ling is already taken.
And you know, Manager Su guards him like the apple of her eye.
Those two, no matter how you look at it, they're a perfect match. This year's Outstanding Project Manager Award should go to both of them, right?
Ah, I'm so invested in them. I heard Manager Su already proposed.
See the rings on their fingers? They put them on after the successful proposal some time ago. I have them on WeChat.
I saw it in their moments, another added excitedly.
Really?
Several staff members whispered gossip during their break with excited smiles on their faces and a bright gleam in their eyes. Hearing their words, Lin Ruan suddenly stopped in her tracks. Her heart sank endlessly, plummeting to the bottom, and bitterness filled her.
Did she have no chance? A difficult smile, very forced, appeared on Lin Ruan's lips. They were already engaged, so the next step, was it marriage? How did it happen so fast?
She still tried to convince herself, telling herself,
it must not be true. They're just gossiping.
However, the next second, Ling Chuan and Susu appeared in her side at the same time.
The two walked side by side, talking and laughing.
That kind of harmonious atmosphere was something Lin Ruan and Ling Chuan had never had. In her memory, every time they sat together, one of them always had a cold face. The rings on the ring fingers of their hands, naturally hanging by their sides, were very conspicuous. Although they were just simple, unadorned bands, they were both engraved with beautiful patterns, low-key yet elegant. Lin Ruan couldn't help but think of the wedding ring she had given Ling Chuan.
A diamond ring as big as a pigeon's egg, extravagant to the extreme.
Yet, she had never seen him wear it once.
She had actually forgotten that.
Unlike Gwyn, he was a project manager, and wearing such a diamond ring would only be a burden, just like she was to Ling Chuan, just a useless burden. Lin Ruan suddenly felt a little timid, even afraid to appear in front of him.
However, unfortunately, Ling Chuan and Susu noticed her and walked towards her. This is our wedding invitation.
You can come and see, Susu said, taking out a wedding invitation from her pocket and handing it to Lin Ruan. Her sharp gaze was on her, full of pressure.
Ling Chuan also nodded.
Lin Ruan hesitated for a long time, then tremblingly, very slowly, accepted the wedding invitation.
Okay, I'll be there, she said slowly, her voice barely audible.
On the wedding day, most of the people who came to the scene were colleagues and friends from the company, and the atmosphere was very harmonious. The chairman of the board smiled so much that his eyes narrowed, and he even joked, I'm considered half a matchmaker for you, so you have to give me a big red envelope. As soon as he finished speaking, Susu handed over a bulging red envelope.
The chairman did not decline and accepted it smoothly. Suzu and Ling Chuan did not wear a suit and wedding dress, but wore matching project uniforms. The two looked solemn and serious, swearing to their elders and the sky. I swear by the rest of my life and the work I consider my life. I, Ling Chuan/Suzu, will always be loyal to my wife/husband and will only love one person for the rest of my life. Otherwise, I will give up my position as project manager forever. Their eyes were filled with the same determination. Lin Ruan, wearing a well-tailored dress, sat quietly in the corner, watching their happiness. Perhaps from the beginning, she was not the one who matched Ling Chuan. The bride and groom toasted Lin Ruan's table.
Lin Ruan abruptly stood up, filled a glass of wine, and drank it all in front of Ling Chuan. Suzu, I will always be watching you. If you ever do anything to hurt Ling Chuan, I will never let you go. For the rest of your life, you must treat him very, very well. Don't be like me. Saying this, she smiled bitterly, poured another glass of wine, and drank it down. Suzu drank the wine in her glass, her eyes firm. Don't worry, I will never let that happen. Everything I have belongs only to Ling Chuan, and I will love him forever. Her words were powerful and resounding. Ling Chuan believed them, but he always kept a sliver of reservation in his heart. After all, until the future arrives, who can say for sure what will happen? Marriage was never her end goal. The wedding ended perfectly, and Lin Ruan left quietly, out of sync with the excited and happy emotions of those around her. She returned to Jing City and continued to work as a lecturer and professor. Batches of students came and went. When asked about her love story, she would always tell them, Cherish the people in front of you and don't always regret the past.
Don't be like me and lose the person I love the most. She went to see a psychiatrist again and again, but her condition didn't improve much. She could only rely on sleeping pills to barely fall asleep until finally Selena got married and had children and advised her to find someone to spend the rest of her life with. But Lin Ruan still refused. If it wasn't that person, no one else would do. Saying that marrying anyone was the same was just a joke. It wasn't until later that she realized that she had actually fallen for Ling Chuan quietly when she chose him, but that bit of affection was too weak to be noticed. She had met many men, but none of them had made her want to get married again. Let it be alone and uncompromising.